So Bayonetta 3, this was a long-awaited title that was revealed back in 2017 that officially had released in October of 2022. This was a game that was long-awaited. I didn't play it when it first released because, well, there was a lot of video games coming out for a long time, but it was a game on my radar that I really wanted to play. I heard it was pretty good, so, you know, eventually I wanted to play it because I was a big fan of the first two, really enjoyed them. And so I got into Bayonetta 3. I have a few things to say in this video because, well, this is a review after all. And there's a few things that I liked about the game. There actually were some things that I disliked as well about the game, though. That kind of frustrated me a little bit in some ways, and some aspects that I was not a huge fan of. So the basic concept with this game is a brand new character named Viola. Basically, the game starts, Bayonetta dies, and she time travels back in time. I guess it's back in time. I mean, there's a whole multiverse in this game, which I found really cool. I mean, I don't get why everything has to have a multiverse, but it just kind of worked here because the different designs of Bayonettas were super, super cool. There was like an Egyptian one, a Chinese one, either that or Feudal Japan. I'm pretty sure it was Chinese. And other different versions of Bayonetta throughout the multiverse that had different styles and different weapons that you could wield that you end up being able to get, which is super, super fun and a lot of cool. But the basic concept is there's a multiverse, but I think it's in the same universe as our Bayonetta that certain things happen. And then she time travels back, a character named Viola. Without spoiling anything, I'm not a big fan of her character. She's okay, but I will say that her gameplay is kind of fun, but I feel like they tried turning her too much into Virgil. I feel like they tried making her play a lot like Virgil from Devil May Cry, and I don't think it really worked that well. She also didn't have the witch time jump thing when you dodge, the time dodge thing, and that also sucked because that like really helped when playing as Bayonetta, and Viola didn't have that, which was a very big flaw for me because, gosh, it got so frustrating because I would be constantly dodging, and I would always be getting hit like all the time as Viola, and it was very frustrating to me. Maybe I just suck, I don't know. But to me, Bayonetta was a lot more fun to play as than Viola. I understand that they wanted to bring in a new character, and they wanted to give a different variation of having another character to play as, which, I mean, I think that's a cool, neat idea, especially someone with a sword, which could play similar to Virgil, but I very much so was not a massive fan of her in some ways. I liked her, in some ways I did not, and I'll get into that. So throughout the game, you are trying to go through the multiverse traveling as Bayonetta, and you are collecting these 4 orbs, these like floaty orb things, and you need them to be able to fix the multiverse stuff that is going on. And Jean's got her side stuff, I'll get into that. And then Bayonetta's got her missions, and Viola has her missions. So in some ways, it's a little bit all over the place because there's 3 different characters doing 3 different things. But it works in some ways it doesn't. I will say Bayonetta is a ton of fun to play as, and she has a lot more weapons to work with in this one, and I loved her gameplay. Like, there is so many weapon variations in this for Bayonetta as you progress through the game. It's fantastic. She can literally turn into like a spider, into a train, into her butterfly, of course, into like a frog character. Like, it's so neat, the different variations of weaponry and things that she can do in this game, and I always thought that was a lot of fun about playing Bayonetta. My problem with this game is that you flip between her and Viola's just not as fun. I love Viola's music. I thought she was kind of fun at first, but then over time it was just a little frustrating playing as her. And I'm gonna be honest with you, they tried very hard to make you like this character. And maybe some of you really like Viola, but for me personally, I was not a big fan of her character because the reason why is because I feel like she didn't have enough character development. I feel like her character just did not have enough time to be fleshed out with one game to make me like her enough for reasons that I will talk about in this video for the spoiler areas. Now let me talk about Jean real quick. So Jean, we know that that's the sister of Bayonetta. I believe they're sisters. And she had her own missions. She had 4 missions. The 4th one was really fun because it was on a motorcycle, and I really liked that. But the first 3, they tried making it like Metroid. I'm going to be honest with you, with them trying to make missions in a Bayonetta game like Metroidvania, it just didn't work. It didn't work for me personally. It wasn't something I was a fan of. It just didn't seem very fun. It wasn't built right. Like, it just didn't feel right. They should have just done hack and slash missions as Jean, because I really didn't like the whole Metroidvania thing. It wasn't fun to me. It just wasn't fun. I didn't think the levels were that fun. I didn't think the level designs were all super fun. They were short, thankfully, but it just wasn't really for me, other than the motorcycle one. That was a lot of fun at the end. But the first 3 just weren't really for me, so personally, I think they could have done something a little bit better or made that better, but I just don't get why they really decided to go that route for Jean and make them like spy missions. I don't know. It was kind of weird, but some of you may like it. I'm not a big fan of that personally. I'm going to get into some spoiler territory now, so if you don't want to be spoiled by like the big stuff for the story stuff, I mean, don't watch the rest of this video, or maybe you should though. Anyways, so Viola, I gotta talk more about her story. So yes, she time travels through time, but her mother and father are Bayonetta and Luca. Luca's a really great character. I always thought he was funny. He's voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. He's a really great character, just a silly goofball type character, but he works. But Viola's mom and dad are Bayonetta and Luca, and I found it kind of weird. But that's not the problem I had. Like, the problem that I have is her character was not fleshed out enough to get the role of being the new Bayonetta. And they confirmed there's a Bayonetta 4 in the works, and I gotta be honest, I don't think I want to play it. I just... They killed off our Bayonetta, Cereza, and basically the passing of the torch happened, and it happened too fast. I really think that Viola needed more time for us to warm up to her. I really like Cheshire. I think that he's awesome. He's really cool. But I think that Viola just isn't quite the character that I want her to be, because I feel like she needs more time. She needs one more game to be fleshed out before a passing of the torch. But they decided, oh yeah, we're going to end Cereza as Bayonetta after Bayonetta 3. I don't think a lot of fans are a big fan of that, because the reason why people bought the Bayonetta games was to play as Cereza's Bayonetta. And I just don't think that a new character can be Bayonetta. I just don't really see it that way, personally. But they confirmed the Bayonetta 4 is in the works. I just don't... I don't think that it's that great. I mean, they killed Jean as well. They killed everybody. They killed literally every single character that you liked and cared about in the Bayonetta franchise are now dead. Except for the dude that runs the bar. I'm losing his name at the moment, but you know who I'm talking about. They're pretty much all dead, so that's very stupid. And it would have been fine if this was the last Bayonetta game, but unfortunately it's not. And for me, that just... I don't feel that I want to play Bayonetta 4 after knowing that Bayonetta 4 is going to be a new character being Bayonetta in the entire game. I just don't think it's a good idea. I really don't. The whole passing of the torch thing is fine, but not this soon. It doesn't feel right. Viola was just introduced in this game. It feels kind of forced. I just don't think that it's going to be worth a Bayonetta 4, but that's the route that they want to go, then fine, that's the route they want to go. But personally, I'm not a fan of it. That being said, though, there's plenty of redeeming factors about the game. Like I said, the gameplay is a lot of fun. Viola's gameplay has its moments, but Bayonetta's gameplay is a ton of fun. Her as a character is great. The story, for the most part, is pretty good. The final boss is also pretty fun. Speaking of the final boss, the fact that there was Bayonetta from Bayonetta 1, Bayonetta 2, and Bayonetta 3 all fighting that thing all at once was so freaking sick. They pulled a Spider-Man No Way Home in this game, and I thought that was incredible. I thought that was amazing. Like, I was kind of losing my mind a little bit over that moment, because it was like, whoa, Bayonetta from Bayonetta 1 and 2 is in here now? And, like, you got to play as Bayonetta from the first game, and it was like, oh, the nostalgia goggles, you know? Like, it was so good. It was so cool. So the final boss was really impressive. It was a ton of fun, seriously. But again, the very ending just kind of ruined that for me, because the way that they ended it. So, if I had to give a rating on the game, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I believe Bayonetta 2 is better. I loved this game as well, but not as much as Bayonetta 2. I think Bayonetta 2 is the best of the three. That's me personally. I really, really loved everything about Bayonetta 2. Bayonetta 3 I have my issues with. Still a fun game. Would I replay all three in a row again? Absolutely would. but Bayonetta 2 is my favorite of the franchise. Personally, I think absolutely you should play it if you're a Bayonetta fan, but wait till you can get it on sale, or if you can get it a certain way for cheap, you know, then absolutely get it that way. But personally, I'm not a big fan of certain aspects of the game, but it's still a good, solid game. Did it live up to the years of waiting for it, though? I would say not really, only because of the issues with the story that kind of happened personally, and the Jean missions I wasn't a big fan of. So it depends on the person. Some of you may think this game is perfect, and that's totally fine. It's your opinion. You know, you're allowed to have your own opinion on a video game. But personally, yes. Solid 7.5 out of 10. Anyways, guys, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment in the comment section below if you played Bayonetta before. If you have not, are you interested? What's your favorite Nintendo game? I don't know. Just let me know. I'm just an idiot who likes playing video games. Go check out my previous videos. Thank you for watching. Peace.